So last year, Notre Dame got the best of you guys here in College Station. Some new players, new faces on both sides. What's it going to take for the Aggies to get the win this time?
Yeah, I thought last year was a great game. Obviously, it was our first game as a staff, and you had all the awkwardness of going against Riley Leonard, our former quarterback. But it was a great game. Went down to the fourth quarter. They made a few more plays than we did, and I think this one is going to be very similar. I think it's going to be a lot of really good players on the field. It's going to be a great environment, and the team that makes the most plays in the fourth quarter will win.
So you have played Notre Dame a couple times since you were there as an assistant coach. Is this your first trip back to South Bend?
This is my first trip back to South Bend. Yeah, they came down to Duke and we played them. They came back to here and we played them. It's my first time going back to South Bend.
So do you prepare anything to go back to South Bend and to that stadium? Do you have to think about it or mentally prepare at all?
No, I don't think so. Obviously, I have a ton of respect for Notre Dame, for the program, for the history that's in and around that stadium. It's a great venue. We had a lot of great nights when I was there as the defensive coordinator, but I think playing in this conference, playing in the SEC, you certainly have a lot of these types of opportunities, and so you just kind of try to get the kids ready to go play football.
So you were only at Notre Dame for 1 year, but for a lot of fans, I think they would point to that year as kind of the beginning of this elite defense that they have. What did you take away from your year in South Bend?
Yeah, it was an awesome experience. I loved working with Brian. It was really cool to go in there and kind of be part of the revitalization of that defense. It had come off obviously a really tough year, and had some really great players, had a really great staff, and to whatever degree we kind of got the thing going. It's great to see the success that they've had.
When Brian Kelly calls you to offer you that job, what's the pitch? What did he tell you about Notre Dame?
I said this when I got hired there. He said, "Hey, do you want to come to Notre Dame?" I said yes. That was pretty much the
There was no other pitch.
No, it was my opportunity to kind of get onto that big stage and really kind of started the track that I've gone on that ultimately wound me up here as the head coach. And so, it didn't take a whole lot.
I wanted to ask about that because you go from there to College Station, really high-profile coordinator roles, and then you get your first head coaching job at the highest level of college football. How did these two places prepare you to become a head coach?
Yeah, I think, in order to kind of get to this part in my career, I had to go experience Notre Dame. I had to experience Texas A&M as a defensive coordinator. You had to get a feel for what that level of football really was all about. And, I drew a lot from that year I spent with Brian. I drew a lot with my time here with Coach Fisher, and, obviously spent a ton of time with Coach Clawson, which kind of started me in the beginning of my career. But I think, the Notre Dame, Texas A&M experience is really what I draw off of the most.
Is it that you're coaching 4 and 5 star guys, you're getting who you want out of the portal? What's different about it?
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I think it's the prestige behind the schools, the fan base, the passion behind it, learning how to manage all of those things, manage the expectations of it all. Obviously, recruiting at this level is different. Both schools, when you're out recruiting for the best against the best, that's a little bit of a different part of it. And it's just kind of all of that coming together.
Texas A&M is a place that wants to win championships, SEC championships, national championships, kind of break through that 8-4 range. How do you take this program to that next level, to the top of college football?
Yeah, I think it's all about elevation in everything we do. I think it starts with culture. We've kind of come in and really implemented what we believe an elite championship football culture should look like. The accountability, the blue-collar work ethic, the mindset, the demeanor with which you attack every day and try to grow and get better, and continuing to elevate the talent and elevate what you do with it, and ultimately get it where it wants to be.
So you once told me that winning isn't as arbitrary as people think, that there's a science to it. So what is the science to winning college football games?
Yeah, I think our plan to win centers around turnover margin. I think turnover margin is the number one factor in winning and losing football games. We talk a lot about special teams and impacting the game through game-changing plays on special teams, and then we spend more time on situational football than anywhere else I've ever been. Third downs, red zone, 2-minute. I think when you put all of that together, those to me are the areas that ultimately lead to winning.
Well, and you mentioned, the situational football. You're an analytics guy, defensive-minded guy. How do you continue to try to stay a step ahead of offenses in this era?
It's hard. It's hard. Offenses have such an advantage. I've enjoyed getting into the head coach chair because I think coming up with offensive plays is a lot easier than defensive ones to stop them. But no, I think you're just constantly trying to find little wrinkles, little nuances in what you do to give your kids the best opportunity to go out and be successful.
As the head coach, do you still get to be involved in the defense? Do you get your hands dirty?
Yeah, I think so. I think I try to get involved with as much as I can. You know, I got into football to coach football and be around kids, and as a head coach, I've tried really hard to not lose sight of that and try to coach as much as I can, be around with the players as much as I can, and be involved as much as I can.
Can you tell me a little bit about your quarterback, Marcel Reed, and how his skill set fits what you and your offensive coordinator, Colin Klein, want this offense to be?
Yeah, I think Marcel's a really dynamic player. He can hurt you with his arm and with his legs, which I think is an added advantage in college football nowadays. You kind of want a kid who can make something happen when the initial call of the play doesn't go exactly how you hope. But you also need a kid who can stand in the pocket and throw the football effectively in order to be successful. And so we've been really excited about his growth. Really looking forward to kind of what he does Saturday night and really putting it on display.
So where have you seen that growth?
I think just in terms of his understanding of the offense, understanding defenses. You know, he got thrust into a little bit of a difficult spot last year where he became QB1 in the middle of the season, and I think he went into the offseason really committed to kind of becoming that face of our program. And so I think through 2 games, it's really worked out well, and you know, obviously the challenges that are ahead are kind of define the season.
So this is a beautiful campus. This is where people hang out before they go to their football games. You've coached at a lot of different places. How do you figure out like your favorite spots or where you would want to hang out or, you know, spend a lunch break?
Usually when people like you come in and force us to get out of campus, I think as coaches, we spend way too much time locked up in our office. Now, you know, in the spring when things quiet down a little bit, you like to kind of get around campus and just check out student life, check out what it's all about. Fortunately, here in Aggie Park, we host a lot of events. And so I've come over here and talked to a couple groups and been part of that. We had College Game Day here twice last year. I got over here for that. And so, yeah, they've done a lot of really cool things at this campus, even since I left as the defensive coordinator.
What do you like about College Station? What living here, coaching here, the people here?
Yeah, it's a great town. I think it started with that. I think when we did our research on kind of coming down here as a family, you know, we really enjoyed what the town structure was like, great academic high schools. And then just as we got into the community, just really great people. People that really embrace you, they kind of support you, they kind of know what my wife is going through and what my family's going through, and they give you your privacy and they just kind of let you be a family man, and that's really cool in this day and age.
What was your dream job when you first started coaching?
You know, I don't know that I ever had one. Yeah, I started at Stony Brook. My first defensive coordinator job was the Merchant Marine Academy. At that time, I don't know that you were dreaming about anything other than just to get to keep coaching. You know, and then as you kind of climb the ladder, you just become entrenched in where you are and what you're doing. And so I don't know that I would ever say that I had, you know, this is the place that I want to coach.
Your career is so unique because of what you just talked about. You know, coaching at like all of these small schools in the Northeast. I know you grew up in a trailer park, went to an Ivy League school. Maybe we're going to go into business and then change paths into coaching. What do you think it is about that path that makes you the coach and person that you are today?
Yeah, I think there's a humility to it. I think also when you're at those levels, you know, you just become a doer. I didn't get into the environment where I had 3 GAs to do all the tasks for you. You know, when you're at Stony Brook, when you're at Hofstra, like you're doing all of it. And so I think it just kind of motivates you to be a doer and kind of go attack things.
What were some of the things you had to do? Like, are you doing laundry?
Yeah, you're doing laundry. I mean, I still remember like splicing tapes at Stony Brook. You know, we had to make the intercuts back then. And so, you know, we were working off of VCRs and pausing this one and playing this one and recording that one. You know, at the Merchant Marine Academy, there was only 2 coaches on staff that were in the building all day. And then we had like some, you know, our linebacker coach was Kevin Fontaine, who was a New York police officer. We had a D-line coach who was a teacher in Long Island. And so he would come after school. And yeah, it's just a lot of things like that.
Do you ever think to yourself, like, what am I doing here?
No, never that.
Yeah.
I mean, I loved it. I loved every opportunity. There's times where when I'm sitting up here, I can't believe that I got from there to here. I think there's more of those thoughts that I have.
Over the course of your career, is it always an upward trajectory? Is there, you know, are you up, down, middle? Like, how did you go from point A to point B.
Yeah, I think fortunately everything has been upward. Knock on wood, I've never been fired. I've been around some really great people who have taken care of me. Obviously, Dave Clawson's a guy that I spent so much time with and owe so much of my success to. I was with him at 4 different universities, and we moved around a lot, but some of it was, I always tell him, some of it was his fault, because he would get different jobs, and I used to tell my wife, well, either we're either unemployed or we're going with Dave where he's going. And then got an opportunity to again get to Notre Dame and kind of get on my own and start to do my own thing, and it's been really good.
How did you and Dave connect in the first place?
So it was funny. So I worked at Stony Brook for the brother of his defensive coordinator at Fordham, and when that guy left, Dave Cohen, he went to the University of Delaware, and Clawson was trying to hire somebody, and he was like, hey, there's this young guy at the Merchant Marine Academy you should talk to. Someone says he's smart. And so I went in and interviewed with Dave, and Dave grilled me like I had been coaching for 20 years, and I don't even know if I got half the questions right, but he wound up hiring me, and I still remember this because I was getting married that summer to my wife, Michelle, and I was so scared to tell him, like, hey, Dave, I really want the job, but like I kind of got to go to this wedding that I have planned, but no, that's kind of how it all started.
Did he give you the time off?
He gave me the time off. He gave me the week to get married and have a honeymoon, but no, it was good. Dave has always been great to me.
At some of those stops, I mean, you're talking about all the different things you have to do. Some people are policemen. Like, how much money are you making?
Oh gosh, not much at all. I think I don't know that we got into 6 figures until I was well into like 16, 17 years coaching.
Wow.
And so we did it because we loved it. Michelle always jokes, my wife, that she supported us through the beginning years, and then without her, she was a nurse. I don't know that we would have been able to pay the bills, but you didn't do it for the money. You just did it because you loved football and you loved kids.
Did she ever wonder what, where this was going?
No, I don't think so. I think she's always been extremely supportive of me, and it's always kind of been about football and our family, and as best it could be. And she's been great every step along the way. Was
there a stop along the way that you were like, I made it?
I don't know that you ever think like that. There's moments. Each school kind of had its moment that you remember. Like I remember the MAC championship at Bowling Green. I remember the first time we were at Wake Forest and we went down to Florida State and they were #1 in the country. I remembered Notre Dame, Georgia. I remember Notre Dame, USC. I certainly remember Texas A&M, Clemson. Like you remember moments that are kind of the big moments at the schools that you were at. But I don't know that you ever kind of went back and said, oh, I've arrived or anything like that.
Do you keep any like souvenirs or merch from all of these stops? I mean, like who has Merchant Marine merch?
Yeah, I don't have a ton of Merchant Marine merch. I have, whenever we've moved, there's always been kind of a handful of clothes that I've always kind of kept from the different universities. And so there's a little part of my closet that is just kind of like the shrine to where I've been. We've got some mini helmets. We have some footballs from some of the more recent stops, some of the big games. There's some programs in the house somewhere, so things like that.
I mean, the Notre Dame gear, though, must be at the bottom of the pile this week.
Well, yeah, it's kind of not in the house this week. We had to go kind of put that outside for the week.
You're at an Ivy League school, you're at Penn. I'm sure everyone around you is thinking about business school or getting jobs in the city. You decide to go into coaching and take a job at Stony Brook. How do you make that decision?
Yeah, so it's funny. So Al Bagnoli was my coach at Penn at the time, and I had decided that's what I was doing. There was nothing else really that I was passionate about, and I wanted to get into coaching. And I walked into his office and I said, hey, Coach, I really want to get into coaching. Can you help me? And he looked me dead in the eye and he said, no. And I'm like, really? He's like, no, you don't want to be a coach. Go do something else. And I'm like, really? And he's like, you know what? Do this. Go sleep on it. Wake up tomorrow. If you still want to be a coach, I'll help you. And ultimately, he knew Sam Kornhauser at Stony Brook, and that's how I got started. And then I had my reality moment. So then I went back to Penn my second year, and I think I was making like $18,000 as like the assistant secondary coach. And what I had to do was take all of the recruits through career planning placement. So I had to watch the presentation of, if you're a second-year Penn grad, you make this much money. If you're a fifth-year Penn grad, you make this much money. I just remember sitting in that presentation thinking, I'm not sure that I made the right career choice, but it's worked out.
What did your parents think?
Yeah, my parents were great. I don't know that they were I think there was a little bit of a really when they first heard it, but they were great. They've been supportive all the way, and I don't think they ever thought it would go in this direction either. But
do they come to
Yeah,
game?
so they were here last weekend for the Utah State game. My mom and dad are here for a lot. They're down in Daytona Beach now. That's where they've kind of moved down there. They were here when I was the defensive coordinator. They actually lived here for all 4 years. My mom had just retired, and my mom and dad moved down to kind of be around the grandkids for 4 years. And then when I went to Duke, they went to Florida.
So I've got mascots for you.
Okay.
So I'm wondering, first off, if you can tell me what school, and then
Oh yeah,
what the
that's the Stony Brook Seawolf.
okay, does it have a name?
Yeah, I'm not going to be good with the names, but that's the Stony Brook Seawolf.
Okay.
That's the Penn Quaker.
Okay, that one I feel like is easy.
That one's easy.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, that's the Merchant Marine. Is it the Eagle?
I don't remember. That one was very hard to find.
It was always Kings Point. Like we just referenced ourselves as Kings Point. I don't ever remember us talking much about a mascot. That's the Fordham Ram.
Do you know the name of that one?
No.
Even I know that one. Ramses?
Ramses?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not going to have any names. I don't know any of their names. That's the Richmond Spider. So the irony of that one is, so my son was born when we were coaching at Richmond. He is now the starting second baseman for the University of Richmond baseball team.
It was fate.
Fate, all the way through. That's the Hofstra Pride. They had just transitioned from the Flying Dutchman to the Pride.
They have two.
Yep. That's the Bowling Green. That's Freddie and Frida.
Yeah, there we go.
That's Freddie and Frida, Bowling Green Falcons.
All right. See, I knew you would know. I knew you knew them all.